Here we are. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to this seminar series. We actually are almost at the end of this course. We will have today's seminar, double seminar actually, another one tomorrow morning, and then we will have a conclusion seminar during the afternoon of the 18th of June. As you students have been able to see during last week, we asked you to prepare a short reflection on how, especially based on the different contributions we are collecting in these weeks, how you think that AI might enter in your personal PhD research and path by trying to describe it individually or through a shared topic that you can share with your colleagues. And so that said, to underline that these last two meetings can be very fundamental to develop this reflection, especially if you raise questions, or also why not simply sharing your personal reflections with our guests that are here also for that. And so that said, today we will host two contributions. The first will had by Stjepan Mikulic, that is with us from AE in AEC, and will last until 6 more or less. And the second one by Hamid Hassanzadeh from PA Academy, that will end about 7:30. And so let me introduce you, Stjepan, that will be with us in the first part of the afternoon. I know, Stjepan, that maybe you have another meeting after hours, but obviously you are more than welcome to attend also the second part of our seminar. And all right, so who is Stjepan for those who don't know him already? Stjepan is the founder of AIinAEC, a global training provider. Yes, he's
gotta represent. What I gotta tell you?
Wonderful, yeah, it's wonderful shirt. And AIinAEC is a global training provider that serves architects, engineers, and construction professionals in over 60 countries. Stjepan worked as a constructing architect at Schweco, the largest engineering practice in Europe, and after that as a project BIM lead at BIG. We very well know BIG, Bjarke Inge's group studio, so you're quite famous also just only for that. And but what about AIinAEC? AIinAEC maintains the world's largest database of AI tools for the AI AEC industry, and the hub connected to this is accessible to everyone for free and recognized by more than 26,000 LinkedIn professionals, so a lot of people. But now, no more talk for me, and I leave the floor to Stjepan and this very, very interesting story and experience.
Thank you so much, Luciana. Thank you guys for the invitation. Hey, actually, maybe you just want to mention how we actually connected, and you took the course. I don't know how far you are along with it.
Oh, yeah. I started to attend your course, Mastering in AIinAEC, and we started talking about that, and then we had a lot of discussions, and also in the questions that I have for you today, we will share with you also some discussions that we have in the last week, so it will be interesting.
That's true, yeah. First of all, I mean, thank you so much for the invitation, but second of all, guys, you don't know, but Luciana was emailing me a lot of questions. You know, she wanted to hear my opinions on a bunch of stuff. And I typically, like, my emails, you know, I'm a busy guy. Like, my emails are very short. Like, you know, okay, no, let's move forward, send the invoice, you know, and so on. But then I was flying to Brazil, and the plane was like 12 hours. So I was like, I have time now. So I'm sorry that for the essay I wrote you. I'm really sorry, but
no, absolutely not. Sorry for pushing you to write as long.
No, it's all right. I mean, it's yes, it was like, oh, I had nothing better to do. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. Let me just share here from my side, so we can get started. Yes, you see it? All good?
We can see. Yes.
Yes, amazing. Let me just move you guys here. On this side. Yeah. So okay, that's gonna be okay. Yes, as Luciana said, my name is Stjepan. I go by any version of Stefan. I'm from Croatia. Been living in Denmark for 10 years until like 2 months ago, and then I moved to LA, as we just discussed in the beginning of the call. I'm not gonna waste your time today. I'm just gonna get straight to the topic, what we have to or what I want to present to you. As you know, AI is everywhere. I'm pretty sure you all use it on a daily basis. Actually, let me ask something. Can you write in the chat? Can you write like what tool are you using? I don't know if this is okay for the professors to write,
Yeah.
but I'm curious to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and while you guys write, okay, cursor, very nice. And while you guys write, I'm just gonna continue. Again, you know, AI is here, but I guess the perspective that my company, like what we do is we help, again, architects and engineers implement AI. So I guess the angle we take it from is not only, okay, this is like what you can use personally, but also like this is what you can use company-wide, you know, that this is what you can apply across the whole firm. So yeah, for today, I plan to talk a little bit about the global challenges we have, and then like the change of within the whole industry. And then the problem with BIM, and I'm sorry, Luciana, I know you know this presentation pretty well for my courses, but again, for the rest of the guys, I hope you don't. If you've seen it before, I'm sorry, but it's very similar to I've been talking about this for quite a while now. But then I'm going to share 27 of best AI apps that I personally use. And then if we have time, probably we will, I'll get into more of the implementation stuff. And I hope that's going to be interesting. Yeah, again, you said this. I worked for Sweco for 3 years, Europe's largest engineering firm, then for Big, probably as you said, no Big. And then I have my own firm for a year, actually more than a year. 1st of February last year, I opened it. I was alone until December. And then I hired my first person, my second person in February, my third person in May. And most likely from September this year, I'm going to have a fourth person. So things are happening. It's going really well, thank God. And I hope it continues that way. So, okay, let me see what you have. Okay, Comfy UI, nice. ChatGPT, Notebook LM, nice. Okay, anything else? Please guys, just write and we can reflect on that, especially if you have any questions, you can also write. Yes, as Luciana said, this is what I guess started the whole firm, this hub. It's basically a free database of, or the world's largest database of AI tools for the AEC industry. There's 1,685 tools currently. I add them weekly. And as you can see, it's basically a spreadsheet, but what it helps people with is to find the best AI tool for their workflow. So if they work in infrastructure, they can just like search after that. All of a sudden, there's only 27 tools, and so on and so forth. You get the point. You know, people search across it. They're not so overwhelmed. And it's free. I share this for free, and this is what kind of kickstarted my journey, both on LinkedIn and you know, with the company. And one more thing, it's very early morning for me, as you can see. I just woke up, so if I'm slurring my words or if I say something wrong, please understand it's very early morning. I haven't had my coffee yet, so. But enough about that. I know that, you know, nobody needs 1,600 applications. People need one to solve their problem. So I also created these cheat sheets to help people, you know, navigate the market. As you can see, especially this last one, I'm pretty proud of because it's, you know, it separates things by stage, so you can like find the best tools. But then, I mean, you know, tools are popping up every day. So how do you know what the best thing is? And I'll come to that later on. Now, I don't know if you've seen this graph. This graph really changed my whole opinion on AI. Because when you look at this, as you can see, this is comparing AI's performance to average human performance. Average human performance is at 0. And you can see that AI is already better than us humans at reading comprehension, image recognition, language understanding, and so on. So it's already better than an average human, right? Of course, that's not the whole story. This is another thing. But by the way, these are results from 2023. These are the most recent results I could find. I'm curious to learn what's going to happen. I mean, what happened this year? Oh, sorry. But as you can see, there are also some general knowledge tasks and math problem solving and code generation that AI is still not as good as an average human at this. But I hope you can all understand how exponential this is going. So it's just a matter of months. Again, as I've said, probably it's already surpassed an average human. So I don't know if about you guys, but like this really changed my opinion on AI. I was like, okay, this is something real. It's not only like, nice images and summarizing my email. This can really change stuff. But then why do we even need it? A lot of, I guess, industries, I mean, mainly probably the IT, doesn't really need it so much. It's all about optimization for them, in my opinion. But for us, it's something different. I believe that we need it. And the reason for that is because, you've been here, you all study, in the industry, that's what I mean. So, all know how much we pollute. And, it's just, we keep doing the things the same way and we keep like pushing for sustainability, but like it's very hard to globalize that. I've been in Denmark for 10 years. I know the sustainability agenda is very high on everybody's list. Everybody's focusing on that. But then I moved here to the US and it's a completely different story. It's not really that high on the agenda, to be honest. But we all know we pollute a lot, but do we all know how much we need to build? As you all know, I don't know how Torino is, but for me, I think that I haven't been to a single city in the West where two people or on two normal salaries, let's say a couple, they want to, buy a home, whatever, where it's affordable on two normal salaries anymore. People are moving further and further away from the city or commuting 2-3 hours a day. And people think that's normal. I think that, our parents would disagree that wasn't normal back then. But the thing is that there's just a huge demand for housing. And you can see that we need to build a whole New York-sized city every 34 days if we want to sustain that need for housing. We are just so many people on this planet, which I think is a good thing. But we just need so much more housing than we have. This is why I claim that we need AI in the industry. But the question is how do we get there? How do we, on one hand, we are polluting so much. On the other hand, we need to build so much. So how do we get there? And there's research showing that we can either 10x the workforce or 10x the production speed. And I think that you're going to agree that, I don't know how many of you, I hope you're studying architecture because you love it, but I know that a lot of people are not choosing architecture anymore that much. And, we're not having as many kids anymore, unfortunately. So I think that, the more logical step is the production speed. Yes. Actually, I'll just go on, but please, if you have any questions, feel free to write in the chat. I'm gonna then reflect back to them afterwards. I think is that a good plan, Luciana?
Yeah, sure. Yes, okay. You can both write in the chat or keep your question for the end, and it's the same.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so I'm gonna get started with the first pillar of of AI implementation, and this is technology. So because the whole point of the presentation is how do we actually implement this stuff? So the first pillar, technology, what AI is allowing us to do is take a piece of paper, crumble it like this, and then create something amazing such as this. Probably you've seen it as some of you have also been using Comfy UI, so you probably know how to get there. But again, you're being architects, you probably know Studio Tim Fu himself. I really recommend following him. These are not my images, these are his. But this is, I guess, part of the value proposition that I have with firms because, they're all seeing this online and they're like, how did this happen? How was this made? How can I implement it? How can I scale it across my teams, So the thing I help with is actually finding that balance. As you can see here, we also have some stable diffusion and Comfy UIs used here. But again, probably the person who wrote that will agree that it's a bit you need to be a bit technical to make it work. It's not easy for every designer, every architect, to use that. However, on the other side of the spectrum, you have Midjourney and Veras and Render, which are pretty easy to use, but they don't offer a lot of control. So you have something like middle of the field, LookX and Corbu, that are, they offer a bit more control than the easy ones, but they're still not as technical as the Stable Diffusion part. So yeah, this is what I help companies with. It's not only for design, of course, it's across the entire spectrum. But we have generative design, as you know, Forma, a lot of tools in this space for years now. And this is something I just wanted to show you for infrastructure as well. It's not only against with architecture, but you can find optimal routes, optimal highways, optimal roads, railways. This is an example. I think it's a company from Finland, but they're designing currently. This, you can see, in Norway. So yeah, they just find a site and like, what is the best way to go around the hill, connect the cities. Yeah, let's see what they do. It's a short video, don't worry. Yes, and then you can define how wide the corridor is, and this is generative design within our infrastructure as well. So it's not only for architecture, but you can find optimal paths. How could it look like? How would the road be? Of course, respecting all the regulations. How fast do you need to drive on it, and so on. So yeah, that's InfraSpace. Something I was doing myself for years at Sweco was, I was in charge of, when we had a transformation project, or we had a project that, you get the DWGs and you need to put it up in a BIM model. And I was in charge of like outsourcing that, so I was sending a lot of hours to Bangladesh, because that's where our outsourcing firm was. And a lot of companies do this. Yesterday I spoke with a guy playing basketball here. He told me they outsource from California to mid-US because work labor is cheaper there, I guess. It happens within countries, within offices, and of course across the world. So, and I was always wondering, with that, is there maybe an application that can help me with this? Can I give it DWGs, point clouds, PDFs, and create a BIM model? And this is what BIMify actually does. And Luciana can also testify to that, I believe, because one of the things that I do have within my courses are demos with these firms. Everybody can make a big claim, but then we have a demo with them. So that's within the course as well. Another one, also more for like the design part, this is Augmenta. They automate electrical designs. So they take your existing or your building, and they can create electrical pathways automatically for that. So this is pretty, it also, sparks a question on like what's going to happen with structural engineers and MEP engineers with time. So, and also architects, like some architects. So, but this is something we can maybe take afterwards. Let's see. Another app that I really think it's pretty cool is, a lot of contractors I speak with, on construction sites, they're always annoyed how bad the models are, how they can't find what they need. They get models from architects, engineers. It's very hard to find them. Find the common connections there. If they need like the exact amount of foundations, the exact amount of whatever, they always have troubles with that. And then this application is actually, you can see this little black ribbon here. What it allows you to do is you can chat with your BIM model. So you can just ask it, how much foundation do I have? How much rebar do I need? What's the window area on the second floor? And so on. So it really helps, contractors, let's say, create schedules. I know you can say, this is easily done in Revit, but not everybody knows Revit, not everybody uses Revit, and not everybody wants to pay for Revit. So, Yes, another one, I think this is also a short video I wanted to mention, because, this is, I guess, combining drones with AI. As you can see, this is like, inspecting infrastructure. When you have a bridge, when you have a railway, whatever you have, you can use AI to find cracks, automatically. And this helps, of course, with like road maintenance and bridge maintenance. Like, is it urgent? Do you need to send somebody today to fix it? Is it like normal cracks? Is it like so you can assess without sending the team there, and so on. And especially when you think about it, I actually met the guy, Aaron, his name is not Aaron, but he made this company called Aaron. They're from New York. I met them, and the guy was like, he was really cool. He was telling me that the bridges are there already, like they're built, like and they're kind of public property, right? So he was telling me that I guess the idea was that he would just scan all of them, like just like all of them. He would just like go from highway to highway and scan bridges, and then sell that as like, hey, you have cracks here, maybe you can look into that. And this is what I did for you. So this was interesting that he wasn't waiting for a client. He just like took charge because like it's public property, it's already out there. Let me just send a drone and scan it. So that was pretty cool. Maybe you can like some roads that are forgotten that could be potentially dangerous. He can help solve that. So that's pretty cool. Yes. And then finally, the app that I think it's super simple because it's a part of automation, part AI, but it's very like useful. A lot of engineers, when they go on construction sites, even architects, they go on a construction site, they spend a few hours there, a couple of hours, inspecting stuff, and then drive back to the office, spend 8 hours pulling images to Word, and the images start flying around, and it's hard to make a report. So what InspectMind does is actually automate that. You still go on your site, you take your phone, you take images and videos and whatnot, and then the whole report is done in like 15 minutes. So it's very fast and very quick. And what you only need to spend time on is pretty much check the report. Because again, if you've been using LLMs, ChatGPT namely, I guess, you can figure out that they hallucinate and they can come up with a bunch of stuff. Which also happens to me in my work. I sometimes send some work and then people are like, oh, why did you write this? I'm like, oh, sorry guys, it's not me. So you need to check your work, I guess, in depth. Yes, and then finally for the technology pillar, we have, you've probably heard about autonomous vehicles, but I don't know if you heard about autonomous excavators. As you can see here, there are no people here. Opa, sorry guys. Yes, there it is. There's no people in these excavators. There's only like this big blue box, which are AI computers. And these guys are doing solar piling today together. So they can work 24/7. No need for vacation, no need for coffee breaks, smoke breaks, whatnot. Which is pretty interesting. I think that they're pretty much limited to like a flat surface, as you can see. But yeah, it remains to be seen what can be done and how much of construction can we actually automate. So that's because a lot of AI is currently focused on software. So it remains to be seen what we can do for construction as well. Yeah, and then if you're asking me like, why is it me? Knowing all of this stuff, I made this whole database. I researched all of these tools, but then I also do a bunch of demos. These are free. You can find them. You can sign up. You just follow me on LinkedIn. The events are popping there. Subscribe on YouTube, whatever. And these are AI demos we started doing like a month ago. I was doing them for a while now. But they weren't public, and now we decided to make them public. And I've been doing them for a month. We had all of these guys come join us. You can find all of these videos on YouTube, as I've said, to rewatch how to use their applications. But one thing I really didn't, believe in, or like I couldn't believe is I'm already booked. I have like week by week AI demos until October. So it's pretty interesting, like how much innovation there is, and how people wanna come on and just like talk about their product. And even though you're gonna see this was super interesting. I'm as like I have a large following on LinkedIn, but YouTube is, of course, I just started doing it, right? So I have 150 subscribers. But interestingly, Josh, this guy here, he reached out to me like a few days ago. He sent an email. He's like, Stjepan, and his video has like 137 views, so it's very little, But the thing is that it's not about the number of views, it's about the quality of those views, meaning that like who is actually watching it. Because what happened to him, he's like, I'm being overwhelmed. Like he said, we're getting leads from everywhere around the world. This is unbelievable. Because even if he got like 137 views, he maybe got like 40 leads, meaning 40 people who want to work with them. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal for the firm. So this is something that I was very happy to hear. It was very encouraging. So yeah. Anyways, that was the first pillar. Let me actually check. Do you guys have any questions? Something you want to interrupt now, or should we just continue?
Is there anyone that want to ask already something? No? Maybe you can continue, and then we will collect them at the end.
Sure. So it's either super clear or it's not clear at all. It's like, what is this guy talking?
Very clear. Don't worry.
That's all right. Yes, let's just move on. Second part, process of how to implement AI. I say to people, don't look at the whole AI world. Look at your business. Ask your people what the headache is. What do you earn most money on? Because I have this client currently, and they're an MEP engineering firm that they said that they spent. I mean, they produce thousands of drawings, and because they really go detailed into these drawings, and they're looking for a way to automate that. And I just asked them, like, are you earning money for this? They're like, yeah, that's what we're known for. And then it was a pushback from my side. I'm like, listen, even if AI can produce drawings today, like, would you want that as like your firm? Because if that's your edge, if that's something that you're known for, like, why would you want to change it immediately, fully? Your quality will probably drop a lot, So, I mean, of course, there's no harm in testing, but this is something I just wanted to, remind them of. So, but anyways, another part is augmentation, of your internal, or augmentation of solutions for your internal pains. And then finally, I always tell people, talk to others. I hope, I'm talking here to my, to Luciana and Federica. I hope I can talk to the rest of you as well by the end of the call. But talking to others will make you not miss out on something like Swap. Now, I don't know if you've heard this before about this application, but what they're trying to emulate is something that OpenAI did, as probably all of you know, or didn't know. Who knew about OpenAI, the company, before ChatGPT, right? Nobody. It just so happened that they made ChatGPT, which is like such a mind-blowing tool. And then they took over the world, right? And everybody now knows Mira Murati, Sam Altman. Okay, she's not there anymore, but OpenAI. So what Swap is trying to do is do the same thing, just for the architecture industry. So they are building a software where you will be able to just create a 3D model in whatever program, in whatever software, and Swap will create fully done construction documentation for you in around 30 or 40 minutes. All the sections, all the plans, all the details, all the tags, everything, dimensions, everything is there, which is, I think, that's gonna make a big splash in our industry for sure. And then people are like, okay, but so should I focus on 3D modeling? And I'm like, okay, I mentioned BIMify 5 minutes ago. So, you can create a BIM model out of nothing. So that remains to be seen, what will be the architect's role in the long run. So, yeah, this is pretty mind-blowing. I know they're currently not looking for clients. I just reconnected with them recently as well to ask, is there any updates? And they're still building. The guy has money, the guy who the founder. So he's not in a rush anywhere. He wants to make it really, really good before they launch. Yes, that was the second pillar. And then the third pillar, of course, people. How do you motivate people? This is what I typically see. I come and I do a workshop or whatever. And then it's you have a few people smiling. And then most people are like, hey, let me learn. Why is this relevant for me? And then I also realized, we are different as people in our nature and openness to change. And as you can see here, there's only a few innovators, and I guess 50% are early adopters or early majority. But you have a lot of people who are laggards or late majority. And yeah, today I can see it by questions they ask, to be honest. I mean, nothing against anybody. I think we need everybody because, sometimes you can rush too fast into things. But more often than not, when it comes to technology, it's very hard to get everybody on board. But like today, I can see it when I do my workshops. I can see by the questions, for example, who's a laggard? I can see by the questions they ask. They can ask me like, is this even ethical, or which is a relevant question. We can discuss it, but I can see that I think that relevancy, like ethical stuff, and what does even training a model mean, and so on. I get these kind of questions, which is pretty fair. But again, I think that the earlier you are in your stage of AI knowledge, that's the kind of questions you ask. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. But if it doesn't, we can explain later. Yes, and then one more thing, probably relevant for all of you guys. Hitting the job market, I probably, you already maybe have some work on the side. I don't know your situations, but this is a report from Autodesk from a few months ago, where like managers were asked, like, what 3 skills or like what skills do you prioritize when hiring? And you can see that rank number 1 is the ability to implement or work with AI. Even skill number 2 or 3 are like, digital design skills and digital project management. So we're all going into that digital, I guess, space. So yeah, this is what I tell people, like, if people are like still on the, this is not really for me, it can't really automate my work. And I get a lot of this as well. So yeah, and then I guess what I also help companies with, and what I say to them with this final step is, there's a whole process you can take. This is the 9-step implementation process. I'm not going to spend more time on this right now, but again, I can get into it afterwards on like how do you actually go about this. But this process looks very nice in a graph, looks a bit messy when you actually start doing it. And this is a client of mine. They're an interior designer of very famous brands around the world. I went to Dubai for a week. I went to London for a couple of days, and then Phoenix as well for a couple of days. They are a global firm, and together we're saving like AI. I mean, I'm helping them save $4.5 million with AI. And this is a lot of money, for a 250. This is for a lot of money for anybody, but especially for a 250-person firm. So I can talk more about that again later. And yeah, like watching this presentation, I hope, like, if you haven't had that mindset, I hope you did. But if you haven't had it, you can see that the future is already here, just it's not evenly distributed. And then a lot of people, tell me about BIM, and this is something I really don't understand. Like, there's a lot of like, okay, let me skip that. But maybe we can come back to that note later, because like, I go to a lot of conferences. I get invited to speak, and then I come there, and then I just don't understand conferences where people are just like still pushing for BIM. Like, for me, it's something that, duh, like it's obvious, so why do you need to push it? Like, yeah, let's use BIM. We need that, and so on. For me, it's obvious, but it's not necessary for everybody. This company that I just mentioned in Dubai, they don't really need BIM, but I'll explain why later. But they're, even BIM, people think that this is like new technology, but even BIM has one big problem. And this is one big problem across all of these apps. And that problem is that these applications are old. Now, if anybody's born in 2000, I don't know, on the call here, or younger, please don't get offended. You're not old in human years, but in software years, this is ancient. So, I typically say that we're using last century's technology to solve this century's problems. So, old, yes. If you don't believe that, please look at the phone from 2000, and then it wasn't even Sony Ericsson, it was just Ericsson back then. So it was, I don't know if you remember this with the antenna, So it's like maybe somebody's like, this is my first phone, or this, they remembered it fondly, but you can't really use it today, for anything. I mean, you can call, but like, come on, can you really do much else? what smartphones, and we have, okay, Apple Intelligence sucks, but you have intelligent phones, which is like a big change, right? So then people tell me, Revit, isn't that the best tool? I'm like, unfortunately, for some things, or like for the, I guess, the big, how do you call it, like the widespread things that Revit can do, definitely. But I mean, I've used Revit ever since my uni days, and then at both firms I worked, and it was always difficult for me to learn it, I guess. I mean, I don't consider myself something especially smart, but I think that took me like 3 or 4 years to really learn the family editor, the coordination in ACC. Again, until you experience all the possible issues, it's like it takes you years. So, and it was slow and reliable. I mean, I don't know if you guys expected me to reflect more on Big. I can do that in another, in a chat after. But at Big, it was like crashing for me at least 3 times a day, at least. So this was something, Revit was known for. So what people don't even understand, there's an application like Snaptroot, which is, first of all, 5 times cheaper. But second of all, it's easy to learn, it's collaborative, and it's browser-based. So it's, you can access it from any device, basically. But the thing is, it's still not as wide as Revit, meaning that, you can do a bunch of early design. This is in the background is actually Zaha Hadid is testing the Snaptroot as well. But, you can do MEP, you can do structure, you can do stuff like this. So, but you can do a lot. And they have 90 full-time engineers, developers, building Snaptroot since 2017. So, they're coming. But one thing I wanted to show, something I just don't understand, guys. Like, we're still stuck in this way of like, sorry, I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant here, but it's like I just don't get it. Like, we have the technology, as you see, like, we can use it, but we still decide to work in an old way. This is what I see every day with companies. Like, we make something in 3D, it's amazing, but then we decide to go to 2D. Like, we decide to go a step back in a way. And then a lot of firms, and you wouldn't believe how many, a lot of firms don't even have a way to share files. They're sending it on email. The emails don't come. Nobody follows up. And then it's only 25 megabytes, Can I upload to WeTransfer? Sure. The WeTransfer link expired. Can you send a new one, And it's like the versions are final V2, final V3. What's the final version, man? So it's like, it's very hard to, I just don't understand. Like, there are smarter ways to do it. And when I speak with managers and leaders, they all tell me this is what we need to do. We need to communicate better. We need to have automated file exchange, data consistency, whatnot. They all know. They all tell me they know what we need to do. But nobody tells me how. Nobody tells me how. And then I ask them, do you know something, like, do you know of Speckle? And I can tell you that none of managers and leaders and so on, they have no idea what Speckle is. A lot of architects and engineers also, now it's a bit more known than it was probably a couple of years ago. But still, a lot of people don't know what Speckle is. And if you're in that pool, that's all right. But Speckle is essentially an application that allows you to work in any other application, meaning that it's a connector app. So here in the call, we have, again, I can work in Revit. Lorenzo, you're the first one I can see here. You can work in Rhino. Luciana can work in SketchUp. Federica can work in AutoCAD. And we are all working on the same project together. And when we need to send a new file, send a new drawing, you just share a link and they can see it all in the cloud. So yes, I had a client and she said that this was BIM as it was supposed to be. Yes, and I couldn't agree more. So, and then when it comes to the future of AC technology, I do believe that it's like a combination of current technology, emerging tools, and AI. And this is the treasure chest. This is where people win projects, where companies win projects, and actually hire people. Because I don't know anybody Gen Z who wants to work for a company that's not, forward thinking, future thinking. So yeah, I promised you tools. These are tools I personally use myself, 27 of them. I, of course, test a bunch more, but these are the ones I keep coming back to in many ways. And yeah, while I don't have the chance to show you how they work, at least I can show you them so you can test it yourself, I guess. But this is what I do. have workshops I organize. I'm actually planning one online to do it. I've never done it online before, but I'm planning one just before the summer. But I also, for people who like learning from courses, I have courses. Again, Luciana here took Mastering AI and AEC. And yeah, I have 2 of them launched, Discovering and Mastering. Building AIC is still in development, you can say. I'm still thinking like, how should I package it with Mastering? Anyway, this is something on the business side. But I'm building courses, and for me, it's not only about them; it's what people say about them, and this is what this is why I say that God has blessed me more than I deserve, because I launched the company 1st February last year, and in a year I got more than 600 students, Luciana included here, from 67 countries, which is just unbelievable. So, but yeah, this is I guess a big change in my life, and thank God for that, and thank you all, thank you Luciana for being one of those students. It's whatever I can do for you guys. This is what makes it worth for me. So. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. Of course, I can go on for more implementation stuff. But for now, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Stjepan,
Yes.
very much.
Thank you, guys.
And yeah, I thank you very much for this speech that if I could define it, I would define as really concrete and grounded. And it's a really plus to me in this period, because yeah, we are used to perceive AI as a always and still an uncertain topic, if you want.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So why?
Yeah, it's because I think that it's still a new topic for many people, and so it's really difficult to share discussions on the topic with others, and also maybe to well understand what AI really means in the construction sector. Yes, but I don't want to keep the time for question for me, but I will open to others. And so if you want, please raise your hand and we can start with questions. Is there someone? Okay, maybe they are. Okay, we have the first one.
Okay.
I see Carlo first, and then Federica maybe.
Okay, thanks so much for the speech. I was a bit late, I'm so sorry. I'd like to ask you a thing. Don't you think that we have problem with AI because we continue indeed to think in the older times? When you say that we use very old software, is because there's old software were made to answer to even older questions, because indeed we draw by hand and then we elaborated a way to automate the drawing, but doing the very same thing, producing the very same output, just in an automated way with CAD. And then the Revit, okay, but the Revit just automatizes a little bit what we do traditionally. What you are speaking about is a different approach, and maybe the difficulties that you see in the firms comes from the fact that we all studied and started working and started designing in a way that need to be completely challenged by AI. We should completely change our mindset to use AI proficiently. Otherwise, we can just use AI to answer older questions. And the problem is that probably those older questions are wrong. The question is wrong at all. But I think that at the same time, this is why AI tools now seem really revolutionary, but they will revolutionize really our practice when they will affect bureaucracy, in the sense that if we could go over the requirements and the products we have to do and that comes from our traditional output, then maybe we could change the way we do our design. We design things, and then maybe we go on. I think that the most the strangest things for me when I work is that yes, everybody's using Beam, but BAM, but then it's just because they have to do it. But then each project stays on its own, because creating this fantastic world in which everybody communicates through Beam seems impossible to various firms. So I think it's a problem of mindset, and I don't know if we can go beyond our own what we are used to. So I don't know what you think that.
No, I'm just looking for the question. I understand what you're saying, but I understand. Is there like a specific question you have?
No, well, I don't know. The question could be: do you think that it is possible to use these AI tools really without changing completely our mindset, or not?
Yeah.
Or it's just that, okay, we can add some AI to the existing tool, or we can use AI tools that mimics, and maybe, okay, they are a bit better, a bit easier to use than older tools, but basically do the same thing.
You're okay. I understand what you're getting at. I wouldn't call it a change in mindset, to be honest, because okay, it's early days. So yeah, for some people it's a change in mindset, definitely. You know, like okay, do we do this? How open are we, and so on. I think that what I would call it is actually change of the system you're working with, because if the system tells you, right, you start as like school, and you draw by hand, and then you're like, this is why AutoCAD is still very popular, because it's like it's emulating the same system just on a computer. You're still drawing line by line, right? And that's why one of the hurdles for Revit was like just a different understanding. It's like you're creating a wall. You're not drawing a wall. You're not drawing a line. You know. So what I think is that AI will be that different system for many things, but not for every single thing. When I say that, what I mean is, I think that what's going to happen is that we will. This is, I guess, a bit of a long-term projection, but I think that we'll. Same thing as you go as a tourist somewhere. If I visited Torino in person, which I really want to, I would buy a souvenir, and probably I would go and probably I'm not sure, but let's say an Indian guy would be selling me Chinese stuff, right? And I would, this would be like a euro per stuff, and nothing against that, but it's just I would not give it much value, because it's like I know it's factory produced, I know it's quick, and somebody just shipped it and that's it. But if I walked on the streets of Torino and there's this old lady and she made I don't know hats or whatever, baskets, and she weaved them herself. She made it like it's handmade, right? I would immediately be ready to like 100 euros, whatever, because it has a lot more value. So I think that that's what AI is going to allow us to do. It's going to change the system, but because right now every building is done in the same way, pretty much. Whereas I think that for this lack of housing, we're going to have a lot more buildings that are like catalog based. You choose a building, there it is. Why do we need to redesign stuff? Where I think that architects will go more into this like luxury buildings where you had a human check it. It was handmade. It was hand designed. So this is I think that's the change we can expect to happen.
Thanks.
Yeah, good question. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Simon.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was really, really interesting to see some tools and application of these tools that sometimes you take a look of different possibilities, but then you can't understand how to use them. So I can look forward to see your Notion page with all these tools. And I was curious about starting from the very first technology that you showed to us about generative images. I was curious about what do you think about the people and the work that is done today by renders people or artistic people that works in this field. And if you think that this implementation of AI in this field could delete this work, and I mean that the architect, like me, for example, can use this AI tool to make by myself the images without the helping of someone else. So if there is a super architect that makes all the things, or if you think that these tools will increase the level, the quality, and the speed of those people. So if there will be two different works anyway or not.
Okay, it's I think I understand what you're getting at. Let me actually show you something. This is a part of the second presentation that I mean, we'll see if we get to, but I can just show you one of the findings we saw. I think it's going to answer a question, but if not, let's get back to you. So this is again a case study with this firm, right? And then what we like, they of course wanted to implement AI for rendering. And we tested a bunch of we tested Corbu, Crea, D5 render. And then what we find is actually it's not the same because for example, what Corbu and Crea and so on, Midjourney is different. But it's you have a bunch of these tools that are kind of taking you out of your current workflow and then putting you back in. This is what I call screenshot renders. You take a screenshot, you upload it, as you guys know, you upload it, it creates an AI rendering. But then what if you change the angle? What if you change, whatnot? It's very hard to control, if not impossible. So, this is one way of doing it, but it wasn't really, let's say it wasn't really accepted by the firm so much because it's really hard to do and it's really hard to control. And they have a given design. They don't want to, maybe for they use this for early stages when they just want to send mood boards to clients and how it could look like and so on. What they did love is the model-based renders. This is the D5. So it's, meaning that it's similar to, Lumion and Twinmotion and, Enscape. It's just that the rendering, it takes 30 seconds and not 30 minutes or 8 hours or whatever it is. So this is what they love because they still can really define their stuff, every light, every plant, every shadow. They can define it all, right? And just the render takes 30 seconds. So the big change is definitely, with both ways, this is allowing them to do, I think that both in a way are allowing them to do more design studies. Whereas until today, they were maybe doing 3 or 4, if that even. I remember at Big, we used to do minimum 16 or 20 design studies. You would take, for example, this entrance, we would do 35 design studies, 35 different versions of that, right? And the reason why we were able to do that, first of all, Big was a big name, so it could charge a lot. But second of all, we had a bunch of interns who were getting paid nothing or very little. So that's, it's, yeah. It is what it is, but that's how you were able to do it. Today, you can do it, you can still do 35 designs, probably with the same amount of time that it took you to do maybe 3 before. So, yeah. Did I answer your question? I don't know.
Yes, totally. Because at the end, it means that there will be 2 different phases of the rendering. So the ones that is linked to the design process, maybe it will be increased in the field of architecture and architects that can make them in a fast way, in a good way, and then the final image that it could be done by someone else. So okay, thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, of course. Thank you for watching, man.
Thank you, Simona. There is Alp now.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you for the presentation and the questions. I have 2 actually. One of them is: are you using Cogram to answer questions, or you're answering yourself?
No, Cogram is it's just tracking our what we're talking about.
I know.
Yeah, but it's me. Yes.
Okay. So the main one is because every day I spend time in Cursor. I stopped using Rhino or any other things. I was wondering how you're following up the new tools, because I don't think we have a platform which we can find the new tools, and you're trying to make that probably, but every time I go LinkedIn or somewhere else, I just find the new ones. So I was just wondering how you find the new ones.
Okay, I'll share something that I didn't plan on sharing. Let me just see here. I'll share because this is a big problem. This is, I guess, the main issue that I'm trying. First of all, I mean, I love what I do. So for me, finding a new tool, testing it out, it's not a problem, right? But people afterwards tell me, you did the dirty work for us because like nobody has time for that. But I'm like, I mean, I have, right? Because I made a company for that. So. But something I wanted to share you, something really exciting. I mean, it's exciting for me. I hope it's going to be exciting for you guys. So I have this, let me see here, Brave. I have this partner, and she has made this platform, AIC plus Tech. So it's pretty similar to my platform, just a bunch of tools and so on. But you still don't know if you're tracking everything, if you're missing on something, and anyway, her and I connected together, and we're actually building an application that can help you do this. So you can't do it today, as far to my knowledge. There's nothing similar, but let me find it here in Figma. We are just launching the website like these days. Literally, we plan to announce it this week. But the website we plan to do, okay, I think it's here, visual design, is this one here. So this is. I'm announcing it here, you can say, for the first time to you guys. I hope you're going to understand the point. But basically, the point of NeoStack is we want to help you cut through the AI clutter by organizing, tracking, and optimizing your tech stack. Meaning that, what we're building in the background is that you will be able to not only like have your current, tools here and track your licenses. And I mean, if you're like a small firm of like 10 people, probably not a big deal for you, but like we work with companies who are like 1,000, 3,000 people, like who can track those licenses, those pilots, who's testing what, So that's what we're building, and then of course when it comes to AI-powered recommendations, because it's not about the AI world, it's about what matters to you, what is relevant to you. So that's what we're building. We are again announcing this in the next few days, an application again to help you curate what's happening out there and distill it for yourself first. So yeah, that's something I hope will help with this issue, because it's not only her and I. We have a whole team behind us, but we're again bootstrapping it, which means we're putting our own money there. I hope it's gonna work out. But yeah, does this make sense?
Kinda.
Okay, but tell me, explain why not?
So what you were using till now, if this was like, if this wouldn't exist?
Manual work, manual research, search
Okay.
and research. You use, I use both, Google and all of these, ChatGPT search, Perplexity, and stuff like this. So yeah,
Okay.
I just wanted to create an application to automate, to help with that, because I know this is a big issue across the industry. So
Your API pricing must be so high for monthly.
Yeah,
For the
yeah,
tokens,
it is.
yeah.
I think my current cost is around 10,000 euros per month for software and everything. So it's pretty high. So I can sustain it for a bit more. I hope for the long term it's gonna be like whatever, But it's not whatever still. But it's like you kind of when you start a business you wanna. People think it's all fun and games, but like I really started from zero. I kind of love reinvesting into the business as well because you see it happen, you see the value you bring. So yeah, I hope it pays off as well. So
Cheers, thank you.
Of course.
Okay, you're next.
Okay, thank you, Stjepan, for the insightful presentation. I rather say as always because I'm always so pleased to listen to your presentation. And I'm going to have a briefly short about the agentic AI within the 3D modeling software. Is in the last times I'm experimenting with the Rhino model context protocol integration, and I am quite impressed about how the way in which I interact with the software is radically changing. And I'd like to know, in your point of view, is the way in which we interact not only with the 3D modeling software, but with all the tasks, and not only architectural task, is changing, and maybe the history until now, in the way in which we have 3D modeled or rendered will be remembered maybe something like briefly shot about a larger story, and maybe we will just dialogue within the machine and the computer for get what we have in mind. What's your point of view about this?
My point of view on the agentic AI, you said, within architecture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it would. I think that. So I don't know. Actually, maybe you can share before I say anything. Can you share your experience? Like you tested this Rhino MCP
Yeah.
or?
Yeah, I had some experimentation with setting up Claude with Rhino. For the moment, the results are not the best one. For instance, I can do better, but I think this is the worst version we will see, because it will be better and better. I think.
Yeah, I'm so happy you said that, because like I think that also in my courses I didn't speak about agents yet, because I think it's I think 90. Okay, I'm not gonna say 90% of agents out there is just fancy marketing right now. It's just a fancy automation that people are calling it's an agent, because it can decide on its own what to do. Sure, like you have this kind of reasoning and logics or logic behind, but I think that a lot of it is just like fancy automation that could be done. It's just a fancy name for it. However, with that said, I do see the potential in exactly what you said. But I think it's still very early, for this. I mean, very early. Like you have tests and so on, but like, would you really give it like to design your whole thing? And the thing is that also one of the things that why, for example, especially when it comes to BIM, is you take responsibility for your designs, you take responsibility for your drawings and so on. So it's always a question of like, how much can you rely on a tool that you really don't understand in that much in depth, and what did it do, right? So that's a big question. Like if like an AI would model this everything for you, but you're like, you're drinking coffee, you're chatting, you're watching Facebook while it's modeling, how can you take responsibility for that? So that's another question that I would have. But I still think it's very promising. Of course, I was tired, especially when it comes to like automating dimension setting, tagging, drawing production, essentially. I didn't mind modeling myself, but I think that some people do. Some people don't even get it. So it's exciting to see what's going to happen. But I didn't see anything like, yes, this is what you got to do. This is the app you got to use. This is how it works. I haven't seen nothing of that yet.
Yeah. The evidence for the moment is baseline.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for the question, man.
Okay, Fede, just a moment before continuing. Stjepan, do you want to present also the second part? Because I didn't understood before. If you have,
it's all up to you. If you guys want to hear
the first one. Okay. How much time?
Yes, please.
Do you need for the second?
I can be quick with it. I mean, I can give you like the gist of it. So it's all right. I can go until. What'd you say, 6? And for me, that's going to be 9. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So, Fede, it's up to you if you want to do the question now or after. Okay. We can continue.
Yeah. And Hamid is already here. He's presenting after me, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Hi, Hamid. We met in person. On a big party a few years ago. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. What's up, man?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Stjepan. Nice to meet you all. Nice lecture.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, Federica, ask your question and then let me present after.
Yes, my question was a little bit just connected to Enrico's one, and but more general to pedagogy, because with all of these tools that are around and are continuing getting produced and getting available, we were also trying to reflect on what are the skills that the new students of the next years will have to learn to navigate in this difficult world. Do they have to specialize or learn how to code, or probably not? We don't know, or something else. So I was curious on what you think about that.
That's a really, really good question, and I think that Hamid might have a different opinion on this as well. Because like we're both, I guess we both are educating people in some way. That's a good question. What skills? I think that, I mean, first of all, the skill of radically open mindset. It sounds cliche, but it really, like, I think it helps with radically open. Like, this is like, it is what it is. This is what's happening. You know, this is not gonna go a step back. It's not gonna be put in a box and forgotten about. So it's not something like, yeah, you know, it's happening today. That's the first thing. Second thing is definitely, you know, what let me explain it like that. Everything's fine while everything's fine. But when things go wrong, that's when you need an expert, right? So I told you about the app I'm building. Like, and we're building this app. We're using a bunch of these AI tools that can build an app for you, right? And it's all good until it isn't. And then that's why I hired an AI developer, you know, because I need a person actually to check this. Like, he's a developer. He's a trained developer with AI skills, meaning that he knows a lot about AI. He knows how it all works. So the thing is that you will always, I guess, need people who are exceptional at what I do, but knowing the best baseline. I mean, let's be honest. We don't know how phones work, what's inside. We don't know how we can connect across the globe, literally in real time right now. We actually don't know how that works so quick, right? Technically we do, but like not really, right? But when everything's fine, well, everything's fine. And if this is now a signal breaks, like, we would need an expert. So whatever people, I mean, I'm not answering the question here, I know, but whatever people, like, you will always need fundamental skills, but only if you can be exceptional at that. I can say that, you know, if you're just okay at something, I do believe, and when it comes to knowledge work, not when it comes to other stuff, right? This work, what we do, then I think that you're probably like pretty easily replaceable, you know, so unfortunately. But yeah, it is what it is, so.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you for the question. Let me show what I have for you guys, and maybe just one more thing on that. I think that, you know, just learning about it. I think that this is one of the things I love. You know, I'm a BIM guy. I studied BIM, and it was always told me, like, I was always told, you need to have this mindset of constant learning. You know, and this I just loved because, you know, it's just like when you work with technology, this is what's happening. So, anyways, to go back to the case study. Okay, this is a case study I showed you. I mean, I had a presentation in Brazil just like a couple of weeks ago, so I'll just share with you, this, on like what did we find. So the whole thing started with a guy took my course. He was told by his CEO that, you know, they need to do something with AI. So he started looking online. He took a bunch of courses, and when he took my course, he's like, okay, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And they are based in the UAE, right? And I guess some of the designs they do, you will probably know. they do global companies, such as this one. I'm saying because I'm under an NDA, but I can show designs because that's what on their website. But they do amazing designs for global firms, but they have one big problem with these, and this is that they're just, okay, they have not one, but they have many problems. One of the main ones is that they are working for these global brands, but if you, like, I mean, probably you don't know, even though they're big brands, and for example, for this brand here, they're producing around 30 stores every month. Okay? Yes. And this is only one brand, let alone the other brands. The thing is that the problem with that is that all these brands know that firms want to work with them, so they can push the price down. So they are actually earning only based on volume. So only by having many projects do they earn money. Also, one thing why I mentioned they don't need BIM is because they have short turnaround times, meaning that they get information on Monday, they need to deliver it on Thursday. Already done, the whole design. So this is crazy. And I'm like, if you only started using BIM today, probably not the best thing. So maybe, you know, because, you know, they have all these CAD skills, and the companies are not requiring it. So why would they need to push that so strongly? Again, when it comes to software, they were only using what they saw online based on trends, but they never had a strategy, and they only solve problems by hiring, you know. And even though I'm not against hiring, again, I told you I hire people myself. I do think that when you hire a person, it's like you still need to spend months by educating them, getting them up to speed, learning the standards, And again, even then you're going to have like, some limitations. Whereas, if you optimize I guess the system you're working with, we had a question like that from Carla, right? The system you're working with, it can be much faster. So I told you, the whole thing started, the guy took the course, but he's like, can you do this for the whole company? They invited me for a whole week to Dubai. That was really nice because it was January and it was like 26 degrees. Today is like 40 degrees already, so it's not as nice, but January was super nice. So this is how it looked like. This is one of the demos we did on the right-hand side, and this is the conference room. And yeah, I guess the challenges they had are some of these. Many client requirements. Again, clients demand a lot. They had limited BIM and AI expertise, as I told you, especially AI. They're also overwhelmed by the amount of AI tools. The IT was very engaged because they were opening offices. I think they have offices now in New York, Mexico City, Hong Kong, Phoenix, London, Dubai. Did I miss one? Probably. Canada, yeah. So they have a lot of offices, and the IT is engaged. They don't have a BIM manager. They don't have an AI manager, and that's why all of that comes to disorganized workflows and a lot of privacy concerns. As I just told you, I can't even say the names of the brands because they're just like concerned with data. So this was the challenges. These were the challenges. These were the questions they had. Again, where do we even start? How do we even know which tool? How do we make what's trustworthy? Both from AI tools. One of the questions I got was like, why do we need an AI consultant to tell us how to work? So I didn't tell them how to work. I just tried to help them. But all right. And then this was, I also got another question, on the impact of jobs. There was this lady, and she was like, why did this need to happen today? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I have 10 years until pension, please. Can it wait? I'm like, listen, there's not waiting for anybody. Yes, concerns. They're being pitch slapped, which is a bit bad. But a lot of companies are approaching. Yeah, we have the best tool. We just choose our app. We can solve. And even if we don't have it, we're gonna have it in the next update. And so on. While I do, I also have. I test a bunch of tools. So I'm on support, chatbots, and support all the time. I love that mindset. I have this specific company. A friend of mine started a company, and I want to support him. But it's a bit tiring, to be honest with you. You always need to help them. When a company is still being built, it is a bit tiring. So it's not optimal for a company who's already overwhelmed, to help others grow their AI until it's usable. Yeah, but that's all. Again, the main problem is overwhelming amount of AI tools. That's what I wanted to fix. And this is, again, the mindset shift I really recommend is looking in a mirror, looking at your own situation. What can you actually, what would work for you? This is what I said. Look at your own process, headaches, and time. How do you process stuff? What are you how does your process look like? What is giving you a lot of headaches? People know what's giving them headaches, what they want to solve. And what is taking the longest time? Maybe you can automate it. And this is the process we went through. We started, of course, with AI education. AI value proposition. This is, as you see, it can take a long time for people to understand that. But we started with AI education. We started then assessing their tech stack, just mapping it out, what they were using. After that, we made the whole process, mapped it out. Pain points. I just asked what hurts people. What would you like AI to solve if it could solve this? And this was from everything. We need to create from easy marketing to models and so on. And it really varies. App testing, that's the next stage where we were actually testing applications. We're still in that stage for some tools. We booked pilots, we booked demos. Some tools we tested didn't really work out. You go a step back to the drawing board. So it's not straightforward. But then of course, the whole point is to create this AI implementation plan, which I'm still creating, and then to work on the ROI analysis, how much did we actually save, what did we expect, and so on. New tech stack proposal, and of course, continuing support. As I've said to them as well, is that they will implement AI by following these steps, but it's going to take them 2 to 3 years. Not necessarily that they need to work with me for 2 to 3 years, but the whole thing is going to take a while because it just takes time to test things out and to educate people on that. Again, when it comes to questions, these are the questions I was asking them for each of these steps. As you can see, value proposition, education, and so on. I was asking a bunch of questions. I was just learning a lot more about the company. I'm not going to go into that now, but this is, you can see that it's not as easy as people think. Of course, it's also the size of the organization. There are 250 people with demanding work. As I've showed you before, this is how it actually looked like. But maybe like in reality, it looked like this, one of the images. This is from Phoenix. I mentioned this already. I guess I can spend just a bit more to actually show you this because this is the process of how we were mapping it out. I would just ask, you can see here, we get SketchUp from the designer, we convert it to 3ds Max. Okay, how do you convert it, and so on. We add planting. This is the value proposition. Maybe D5 can be used. This is gonna be tested by visualizers. We need to get a license for this guy, Scott. You get a bunch of workshop work done. With something like this, but this is something that I was really, really happy about. I mean, I'm not really happy about. Don't get me wrong. I don't like people in pain, but I was happy about because I had an opportunity to really help them. So when I was asking them what are your pain points, what do you want, it was everything from like finding files, better library of SketchUp, all of these red notes on PDFs. How do we track that? Project management, they're still using Excel, which I don't understand how you can go to such a size, but you still use Excel, But yeah, there's a lot of pain points you can see. Hiring decisions, training of specific software, whatever. And then when it comes to AI tools, these are just some of them that we, I guess, outlined what could be used. And actually, I can give you some examples here. So these are, let's say, 4 main examples that I'm going to share. For drawing and modeling, for communication, image generation, and you can see blind spots. This was also something that they didn't see themselves. I explained this slide. I'm not going to go into more depth on this, but we found for rendering and modeling, you can use something like Corbu, Crea, Stable Diffusion for screenshot renders, or you can use the model-based render as D5. Something they also started using in the London office is Struck. Struck is an application that helps you navigate the maze of building regulations. As you can see here, you can choose your country, you can choose your province or region, and you can choose your it's in Dutch, but you can choose your municipality, because every municipality, every region has different rules on what can be built. And this, I guess, another thing that they can do is like zoning, where you choose a site and it tells you how much can you build there and what are the limitations to it, like how far do you need to be from the slot, from the side, All of this, of course, can be done manually. It's just much faster and much easier to do it through this because when you have thousands and thousands of pages, how do you find what's best? But that's why you have these links, sources, so you can click there and it takes you straight to what can be used. For project management, as I've told you, they've been using Excel, which is probably thinking too small for the company their size. So we, found Monograph. It is best for US-based firms up to 100 people, but it can be used in some of their offices because you can see it's a software made for architects. You can put scheme designs, design phases, and then when it comes to, I guess, assembling knowledge and creating similar reports, similar RFPs, we're using something as simple as Notebook LM and custom GPTs. So pretty cool. Yes, something we also did for them is one of the blind spots they had was actually how do they share knowledge? They had no information wasn't being shared. Everything people were testing. For example, this Tripo AI is a tool that takes your 2D image and creates a 3D object out of it. They can put it into SketchUp or into 3ds Max and so on. It's pretty cool, but nobody knew about it. And there was a guy and a team that was using it because they only spoke with their team and it never was a topic on conversation. They didn't have a way to share it. So this is what we created for them. It's like a knowledge sharing hub. We created in Notion where they can track their demos. They can track, their policy, their presentations, videos. They can share knowledge. There's also like, license and so on. You can think of it as the early version of NeoStack, of what I showed you a second ago. Yes. And then one more blind spot was this one. This is SketchUp to Revit, which I was like really surprised I didn't know about, but it is what it is. So they have their BIM team, and they were using, they're using SketchUp to, build stuff in, and then they were remodeling that in Revit from scratch. And because they're working on these huge hotels, like it takes them, when I asked how long does it take you, it took them 6 to 8 people for 8 weeks to build this out. And I'm like, what? Like, this transformation shouldn't take that long. Have you heard of Speckle? Have you heard of Helix? They're like, no, what's that? I'm like, those are applications that can do it in 8 seconds for you. So this was like, they were like, what? Really? They just kept on hiring. They just didn't know. So this was, I'm just wondering, and this is a big firm, right? A big global firm. But I'm just wondering at how many other companies are out there that have no idea. And they're using all of these resources, So this is very interesting for me. Yes, interoperability, Speckle, ACC. And then maybe finally something probably interesting for you guys is like, how do we actually decide what we focus on? We are using this hotbed framework. It's a bit of a silly name, but it really works. Because as you see here, it forces you to focus on low-risk, low-effort moves that deliver big wins fast. So we are, impact, confidence, and ease, like, we are, I guess, grading stuff. But then we just listed the stuff we wanted to put in. For example, using AI meeting note takers, get rid of AutoCAD and move to BIM, If we take the first one, implement AI for rendering. Impact of that would be huge because they're interior designers. It would be huge for them. Confidence that this will work, means that, is the team gonna be against it? Like how hard it is to learn this and so on. This is an 8, so it takes some learning, but it's probably gonna be fine. And how easy it is to use it, like how long will they need it? Will it take them? So you can see these are the grades, and then you can see it's a warm lead. It's a warm thing that you can probably focus on. And on the other side, like for my own business, I wanted to get an AI bot to cold call people. And, I think the impact would be not really that big, but like it would get some impact. The confidence that this will work is very low because like if I just called, let's say, Federica here, and it's not me, it's an AI bot calling you, and it's like, hey, I'm calling in for Stefan's business. Would you like to buy my course? And you'll be like, come on, Stefan, just call me. Like, you'll be like, why doesn't the person call me themselves? So the confidence that this will work is probably pretty low. But how easy? I could launch it tomorrow if I wanted to. So it's pretty easy. But when you have this kind of table, do you understand that it's still a cold thing? It's not really something we should focus on. So, yes. And how do we save $4.5 million? This is just to show you the calculation as well. We started with education, taught people how to save 12 hours every week. I'm going to skip this for now because it takes. But this is like the report we're basing it on, because the AI class, meaning that people who know how to use AI and use AI for 3 or more use cases and use AI daily and only use paid versions of LLMs, are reporting to save 12 hours a week when doing this. So again, I can probably get into this a bit later. But I told you the main differences. Paid versions was the really surprising one. 99% only use paid versions of the AI class. They use AI every day. They're expert prompters. These guys, the AI skeptics, never use AI, almost exclusively use free tools. They don't save any time with AI, probably because they don't use it. And they're bad prompters. But when it comes to this was mainly for the leadership, the message. The differentiator between the AI class and the AI skeptics are also their employers, as you can see. 95% of the AI class have a strong buy-in. It's like something, yes, we're doing this today. And they're using AI for 3 or more use cases, and they're in the top 80% when it comes to prompting. Whereas these guys, their employers won't even take a stance. Not that they're against it, that they won't even comment on this. And yeah, almost all skeptics, 93%, have never had formal AI training. So yeah, and all like most common use case is for writing, even if they do use it. So how do we save 4.5 million? We started by saving 10 hours a week. Let's be, a bit like, how do you say, on the safe side there. Let's say we work 45 weeks a year. You take a few weeks vacation or whatever. For this means that you could be saving 450 hours a year per employee. If we time that by 100 employees, I'm being very on the safe side here because they have 250, but let's say it's 100, right? This comes to 45,000 hours a year, and 45,000 hours times $100, which is my estimate that they're selling their prices for. I don't know how much they sell their time for, but it's this already takes you to $4.5 million. So it can really scale. You can do it in your own life. How much money would you be able to save? But again, these are all projected savings. This is what I also told the CEO and the owner, is that, projected savings because of things like, this, we were washing clothes by hand for centuries, essentially. And then when the washing machine came in, but we're still super busy. We're still super, our days are full of work, you never have enough time. So, yeah, this is what I wanted to tell them, it's not going to probably be bottom line, but as I've said, people are probably going to do more designs or better designs, or they're going to use that time. They're not going to go home at 2. So, yes. And this is, again, the company. And it all started with this one guy I told you about, Mike, the IT director. And this is why I'm really happy. I started a firm, and he was probably one of the first ones to actually give me that chance, offer me, to come and show my knowledge. So I'm super grateful for him. So, yeah. That's pretty much it. I hope this was interesting, and I hope you learned a bit more. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Stjepan. Yes, I think that this case study was particularly interesting to understand how you apply all your knowledge or your experience in practical terms. So yes, thank you. I think that we are quite running out of time, so I don't know if we have some more time for more questions. Unless this, I don't know if I can ask you, Stjepan, if someone else has other questions, they maybe can write you by email. Do you agree?
Yes, write me an email, but please give me up to a week to respond. I have a bunch of emails and a bunch of work, so it's pretty hard for me to get back to everybody in time. But I will get back to you. Just send me an email, sure.
Okay.
Yes,
just
and my email is. I can write it here in the chat as well.
Okay. Just don't do as I did by pushing him with a lot of questions all at once.
No, that's actually better. That's actually better. I told my employees, listen, my employees are like, especially like this guy that I just hired, like it's his first job, and it's like he was asking me every second. He was like, this and then what about that and what about that? I'm like, man, assemble a list of questions, try to solve it themselves, and then ask me like 5 questions so I can spend 5 minutes with you instead of like minute here, minute there. But then I get distracted and so on. So.
Okay.
Yes, so it's all right. I'm open to questions. It's just that it's gonna take me a while to respond. Just that. So.
Okay, just pack your questions as I will do also.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
For a second time. Okay, but I really would like to end with short questions that you always use during your demos. And so, what about your roadmap and so your future? What will you do in the future? How you imagine that your work could evolve? Because it's really new work, I think. So you somehow invented your work in the...
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you, I appreciate that. I mean, listen, I started this out of nothing, and I'm not going to nothing. I'm joking. But I think that, I really don't know where it's going to take me. Let's put it like that. But I do know what I want to do. I do know what I want to help people with. And as you guys see, like there's AI is popping up every day. It's overwhelming today. It's going to be even probably worse when it comes in the future. because like, to make an AI app, you can make it in a single prompt, for an AI app. It's very, 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 very easy. And I guess to distill it, to find real value out of all of this is something that I do look forward to working with. I did tell you about the app, because after researching so many apps out there, I was like, okay, there's nobody doing this, so let me do it, So that's why I'm really excited for this app. But again, we're announcing it soon. Maybe I can say that we're announcing it soon, probably this week. And what we're looking for is people just to sign up if they like the idea, if they'll believe in this. Because if we get 5 people to sign up, we're probably gonna drop it. But if we get 100 people, we're gonna okay, cool, let's move on. So we're still in this idea validation phase. So that's what I'm excited about. But long run, we'll see. I mean, I have a lot of offers from a lot of sides, like universities and so on, but I'm not really interested in that right now. I like to stay solo, but I do want to take it more in let's say a more scalable business. Not scalable, a more like right now when you're, I guess one of the problems that I have, not problems. Okay, let me phrase what I want to say is that right now when you're getting AIinAEC course, you're pretty much, you probably saw me online, saw me speak. You want to get the knowledge from me, right? So you're buying Stjepan in a way. What I want to scale the business up to is that you would be buying AIinAEC, and Stjepan would probably be the face still, but like, you're not buying me. So I want my business to outgrow me. So that's my whole I guess point. And then we'll see. I have a bunch of ideas. Some of them I'm not going to share today, but probably at some point. So yeah.
Okay. Yes. Really interesting question.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I thank you very much, and I thank you also everyone that asked for questions. We had quite a lot today, so I hope it was interesting, but I'm quite sure it was. And Federica, I don't know, maybe it's time to jump in the second session of today. So Stjepan, we say goodbye to you, and if you want to stand with us for the second part, you are more than welcome.
Thank you. Is it the same call, or people need to jump off? And
we just remain here.
Same call. Okay, I'm gonna let Hamid speak now. Guys, thank you so much for having me. I hope you learned something. And yeah,
thank you
God
very
bless
much.
you, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you to you.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you. So we'll leave the floor to Marta for the introduction of our next guest.
Thank you, and welcome, Hamid, and thank you so much for accepting to do this lecture. So I'm gonna do a little bit of introduction, and then I'll leave you the floor. So Hamid Hassanzadeh is an architect. He's also an entrepreneur and a researcher working at the intersection of technology and architecture. He's the founder and the CEO of Parametric Architecture, which is a global platform that connects over 20 million people each month around topics like computational design, AI, and digital fabrication. He also founded the PA Academy, which offers a specialized training for architects and designers through workshops, interviews, and conferences. Has host of PA Talks. He has interviewed leading figures in the field, fostering dialogue on innovation and the future of design. With a deep commitment to bridging technology and design, Hamid is helping shape a new generation of architects equipped to thrive in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. So please go ahead and share your lecture with us, and thank you again.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation first, and Marta, thanks for the great introduction. I'm super honored to be here speaking to you guys. Stjepan just showcased incredible insights about the emerging AI tools in our profession. So I'll share my screen and start a presentation where we will go a few steps back and learn what we achieved over the last couple of decades and years, and where we are heading with these tools and technologies. So I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So what I want to talk about in this, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, perfect. So what I'm going to discuss about on this lecture is the evolution of architecture practice from hand drawing to computational design to AI. As Marta mentioned, I'm Hamid. I'm an architect. I worked as an architect for 10 years. Then I started work in the platform called Parametric Architecture and PA Academy. I've been speaking to so many pioneers and architects on about their works, about the ideas that they have, or about the way they are using these tools and technology in their workflows. I'd like to start the lecture with a quote from Leonardo da Vinci, which says, "Nature is the source of all true knowledge. She has her own logic, her own laws. She has no effect without cause, nor invention without necessity." In this quote, he mentions about the nature and how nature solves its own problems and how we can use nature to decode it and find solutions for the problems that we have in our daily environment. It's a good quote, and I like it, where all the advancements in human science and technology is almost based on this, as we are decoding nature and applying it in our own scale. I'm going to get back to this set of code towards the end of the session as well. This is the world that right now looks like, and it just gets more complicated with the advancements of AI, but more or less you can see all these complex structures with fluid forms, with curvature, three-dimensional curvatures, with 3D printing structures on all the scale of fashion, from chairs to giant wooden structures and even stone structures that you can see in most of the familiar forms. This lecture is going to focus on four main parts: hand drawing era, computational design, AI integration, which I'm not going to specifically talk about what is AI and how AI has evolved, but also the other parts, and also at the end what we are doing at PA and PA Academy. So hand drawing era is the almost the era from the prehistorical years and moments where we started drawing visuals on the walls in the caves to transfer a message through these forms, through these paintings, to transfer a message to the other person, to other next generations, and even at the later stages in Egypt, we found the tablets almost like until 7,000 years ago, where we were drawing shapes to convey our ideas and to showcase what we are seeing from the current world, and so other people can understand it. This continued until the more advanced level of tablets, which then translated into lots of other forms of writing, books, and everything else. Towards the medieval era, this just has developed a lot, as we have seen the development of colorful paintings and on the papers, and also the development of one perspective drawings, as you can see in the paintings of these famous painters. During the Renaissance, which pioneers like Raphael and Masolino just developed lots of paintings. As you can see, the architectural space inside these buildings. And at the later stages, we developed the two-point perspective, which clearly shows the importance of seeing architecture through these drawings, as we are painting whatever we are seeing. And at the later stages, around 17th and 18th century, and also before that, we can see that the drawing has entered into architecture profession quite importantly, as we see in the drawings of Andrea Palladio and Villa Rotonda. This is now almost like a undetachable part of architecture profession, as you have to draw the building before it gets built. In 18th century, in 19th century, these got more advanced as you have to deliver more realistic and more exact information of the building before it gets built. And it continued until to a point that in mid-19th century and previous century, this is the face of an architecture or design studio that we can see. The right side, the image on the right side looks like an AI generated image as we have the tools now, but it's not, it's an image, it's a real photo that people were working together inside the offices over the papers to draw maps, to draw buildings, to draw sites and landscapes, which looks quite scary, but now this the desks has remained the same, but the tools have changed definitely in just between 70, 80 years. The analog computing era almost started with the historical muqarnases of architects like Ali Akbar Isfahani in Isfahan, with all these geometric details and excellence that they delivered on these historical mosques in Iran back and then in 12th and 13th century, without having any computational tools, without having like any calculator even around, but they were doing this in a very best format. Antoni Gaudi was another pioneer who in the last century pushed a lot into the development of ideas of an analog computing and material computing, as his hanging chain models with the catenary arches pioneered this, and he built systems that could define the whole structure of the building before it gets built. And if you check this image, this looks like this is the hanging chain model, which is an interconnected version of some systems that are connected to each other. And if you change one of these weights, and the entire load or the change applies to the entire system. So it's kind of a parametric design with a computational approach, as the system needs to adapt itself to this new change. These are the examples of hanging chain models that Antoni Gaudi worked on, and this is not exactly the same example, but some form of kangaroo presentation where Antoni Gaudi was thinking, which we are doing now in rhino, grasshopper, and kangaroo. Of course, this is upside down model, but this one is a flipped version in kangaroo as well, which clearly shows its effects. With those tools, Antoni Gaudi created these masterpieces like La Sagrada Familia, Colonial Güell, and all sorts of other projects that he worked on. Frei Otto, as another architect engineer who invested a lot of his time on experimenting with natural tools. Back to my first quote with Leonardo da Vinci, he studied soap films on having minimal structures and how to study their behaviors for these kind of external forces applied from the environment. As you can see in this example, the soap film has a tendency to reduce its surface to stay minimal, to stay stable, and it's a very good method to study how to create these kind of forms, as Frei Otto did it incredibly successful. the result of these experiments are, of course, great projects like like German Pavilion in Montreal, Quebec, 1967, and also the iconic project of Munich Olympic Stadium in Germany. As you can see, the forms are almost like following the same behaviors as saw in the video. Luigi Moretti is the first architect who used the term parametric architecture. Actually, he was working on a very analog-based computational methods to design stadiums and structures. And this is one of the good examples that he did. He designed this stadium with 19 parameters, including budget, the view of the spectators, and the amount of concrete used in this to form this structure. And he clearly was one of the true pioneers of his time. Felix Candella's works on these unreinforced concrete thin shells, which were truly masterpiece of his time. And he developed these structures based on the knowledge that we can achieve structural integrity with just designing right forms. And this project, Leucinia Graphia, is a great example of it. And these were the people who were doing calculations by hands, doing experimentations, and building structures. Then we have the era of 2D drafting, where our engineers like Eva Sutherland developed a Sketchpad, which were almost the basic versions of very AutoCAD software that we can have, drawing on screens with a pen. Pierre Bezier was another engineer who invested a lot of his time on studying parametric curves. If you have worked with 3D modeling softwares, definitely you've seen Bezier curves, which are named after the studies Pierre Bezier did back then. And he worked on these parametric curves, which are called also afterwards NURBS curves. Then they are translated into NURBS surfaces as well. And he was an engineer working in Reynolds, the automotive company, and the management of Renault told him that if your system were good enough, Americans would have invented it first. But the moment he invented these curves, that there was no computers around, and each time they wanted to build a car, they were going and measuring the real existing model and applying those measurements into a new development. But there were no computers around. They didn't believe him. But after his computer came along, we implemented his calculations to draw parametric curves in computer environment, which then also we saw it in tools in softwares like AutoCAD, 3ds Max, Rhino, and many other places. Yeah, 3D modeling era almost started in architecture, let's say. I'm not going to talk about the apps that are emerged, like Revit, like 3ds Max, or Rhino, but the architects who experimented with them to bring them into our platform. Like, again, architects are exploring different things. And as you saw in Stjepan's lecture as well, he is an explorer. He wants to bring apps into architecture and find solutions for the very hard jobs that we are doing now. In 8 weeks, he said, also, we can work with just a speckle to do it in 1 second. So Greg Lynn was one of the architects back in Columbia University in the 90s, where they were experimenting with codes, with softwares to find a way to automate or find parametric versions of a design workflow. They did a lot of experimentations and studies, and they did really good job. But the softwares were not quite there yet to automate the entire process. There was no Grasshopper around, but the studies that they've made, of course, at the later stages, we understand what they were meant by parametric design back then. And these are the forms that he created, the fountain, the famous fountain that he designed, and also some of the other ideas that they had back in 2003, 2002, these hyper connected surfaces, which even were not easy to 3D model them. Another architect is Frank Gehry. Definitely you know about him. He wanted to design these kind of fish forms that are inspired by the structure of the fish animal, but he was not able to do that because the softwares were not there yet. There was only the CATIA company who was building they were building the 3-dimensional surfaces. And he calls the CATIA company. He says, hey, I want to build a fish. And they say to him, no, we're not into fish business. We are into bird business. We build birds, which means airplanes. We're not into fish business. And we can't help you. Then after a couple of calls, he brings someone from CATIA company to his office. And then the rest is the history of the creation of these complex 3-dimensional structures, which have 3-dimensional surfaces as well, which were quite hard to imagine, let alone to build it without the help of these kind of softwares. And this was a very breakthrough, which opened the floodgates of many architects jumping into this world and bringing or using the architecture softwares or using these softwares in architecture. And after that, we saw the surge of using AutoCAD, 3D modeling softwares, rendering softwares, and just for the presentation and also basic levels of calculation. Design computation era almost started with these kind of basic calculations where they were using coding to calculate some structures, some forms, to calculate some analysis. But it almost started, I think, I can say that this started mostly with the emergence of Grasshopper or explicit history back in 2007. Before there is, yes, history, we were doing it, but we were not doing it very efficiently, where we can have all the parameters that we need, we can see it, we can have a very clear workflow of where we started and where we are going. Grasshopper was a breakthrough in our era of architecture practice because it gave us things that we were never imagining. The moment I learned about Grasshopper back in 2012, I guess, it just blew my mind. Oh my God, is this like, is there a software like this out there which enables you to design and define parameters, and then the whole process, you can control it? So it was mind-blowing, and architects started going very crazy on calculations, on the scripting, on creating forms, complex stuff. And through the calculation and through the form, we could show the complexity of that structure, which was never done before. It was never possible before. And this is just a very basic example of what Grasshopper does for Rhino, where without just drawing a single line, you can code, you can script your form and create many, many things. These are the scripting screens that you can see, which can go more complicated than this and even more complex than this. This is just a very, very basic level. I've seen codes that are black in the screen because there are so many things to connect to each other. But of course, afterwards, because it was open source, we developed other plugins for just Grasshopper, or clusters of the components that does automate some part of this scripting. I'm sure you know all about Grasshopper and Dynamo as well. So Dynamo also emerged as a tool, as a scripting tool for Revit, as Grasshopper did for Rhino. It applied the same kind of strategies with visual scripting, and these codes can go quite complicated and interconnected to each other as well. Then voila, these were the results of these kind of having some complex tools which enable you the calculation of so many complex structures. Each one of these panels on the right side of the project that Melike Altanishek did for Istanbul, it has 2,500 unique panels. How would you calculate this without having parametric tools? Or the Galaxia project by Arthur Mamamani, each one of these elements are unique in kind of the dimensions and the structure that they are, the structural forces that they are having. So it created incredible amounts of, it added a lot of great amounts of creativity into the creation of these kind of forms, even 3D printing forms, or lots of other explorations that ETH Zurich and Block Research Group did. This led us, having these design computational tools, led us into the world of building information modeling, BIM, which we could use all these apps and softwares connected to each other, interconnected to each other, and also data transformation. They enabled us to have data transferring, analyzing, optimizing, and do so many things within just one workflows. And that workflow was very important for us. We are not just bound with one software. We can use multiple softwares, and we can calculate so many things. We can have we can now use apps to just directly work with structural engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers in one file. And it enabled us to also go into the direction of creating digital twins for architecture. Before we build buildings, we have to create these digital twins, and during the life cycle of the building, we have to monitor it. We are now creating these kind of virtual assets where the creation of this virtual asset is as important as the building itself, because now we can see the layer of people flow, or many other data that we can follow during the life cycle of the building. I can now connect my bicycle to my house, my car to my house. I can watch the energy consumption of my building. I can track so many other things with these digital twins. And we learned how to design more complex structures and with more data, but then the question comes to how we can build these structures. Actually, we are now going towards, we went towards the building more optimized, more better, designing more optimized structures and designing more better. But what about the building technology, AEC, actually, architecture, engineering, and construction? Then the automation comes along for construction process as well. But now we are experimenting with 3D printing and how we can automate the printing, how we can automate the building process itself. 3D printing is a good tool to use. Drones are very good tools, and the collaboration of both of them that could create structures like the one that guys at ICD and ITK in Stuttgart are doing, or we can build actually houses directly with 3D printing. 3D printing definitely has its own problems, not able to build horizontal or print horizontally, but vertically, yes, it's good. But the technology is advancing so fast, and so many investments are being done over 3D printing as well. And these are solutions for having fully autonomous printing processes as well. And so many companies are working on finding these kind of solutions. And even they are working on building for other planets before the people go to other planets. Before we send any astronauts there, the robots can go there and build shelters and how places for us to stay. And even they build the Earth version of it, which this project done by AI Space Factory, the Earth one and the Mars one, compared to each other. And people at Big and Icon collaborated to design a colony on Mars as well, a fully 3D printed structure. And then the beauty changed to forms as well, because we saw the great structures by De Vermini and Mark Furness. As complex as it seems, it's a quite easy process of CNC milling and turning all these flat stripes into a three-dimensional bubble, as you can see in this structures. Incredible work. So, we kept going, and we kept trying bending steam and using virtual goggles to see the stripes through them and form the wood based on the stripes that we see in the virtual environment. We are now using these kind of goggles for construction workers, where they can bricklay exact the same dimensions and the same paths that they can see over the projected goggles. We even printed chairs, unique chairs, where guys at Bartlett with Nagami, they printed unique chairs with all these chunks and pieces, all similar to each other, but different. Every one of them were different based on any iteration that could possibly made to the design workflow. We even now design on virtual environments and just build it without even doing the drawing or drawing details or documentations. And this chair by Arturo Tedeschi was just drawn in 3D environment, 3D virtual environment, and sent to fabrication directly without drawing anything. So these were the tools that I discussed about, where we started from very hand drawing into 2D drawing, into 2D drafting, 3D modeling, design computation, and then to the automation and fabrication. But what about AI, and what are we doing with AI? And these tools led us to AI and how we can implement AI in architecture. So I'm not going to talk about AI. I'm not going to talk about how AI generates images. Actually, I will briefly showcase it. But this is just a simple, as simple as we can describe. There are hidden layers that you just feed an image, and then based on the data sets that are trained, it just gives you the bird word. And some scientists came along, of course, to say that we can type bird and then get the bird image. Then it kind of worked. Then the algorithms changed, generator, discriminator, where the discriminator could train the generator based on the results that they could possibly get closer to 100%, not fully 100%, but 100% of the answer by doing tons of calculations, millions of calculations in just 1 second. And these are the first versions of post-invariant AI-generated images that they wanted to get a result by typing a dog, which I cannot see a dog image in here, but something close to a dog maybe, or a snake, or a lighthouse, or something like that. It's just a hallucination that AI was making. And this is the first version of AI generated image artwork that won won an award, an art award in 2018. The very first version of AIs that came to architecture was Daniel Bolojan worked with Deep Himmelblau, Coop Himmelblau company, Wolfprex, and they fed tons of their work into AI software, which I guess back then was using DALL-E at some point. They fed the AI system with the works and renders that they had from Wolfprex office, and they got similar hallucinations for architecture. And also the works Zaha did with Refik Anadol, and they had access to the early version of the DALL-E 2 as well, which they fed the images into AI, and they got similar works as Zaha did architecture office. So what are some of the tools that are working in this environment are very important. The tools are getting updated every day, every second. So you may see a list in here or may not see a list here, but we are not mentioning it. So don't get frustrated. There are so many other emerging tools that even me as someone who follows it on a daily basis, I'm falling behind. So I just want you to focus on the things that you see as well. You have to go and experiment on the AI tools that you see, and if they are working, you add it into your design workflows. But very basic version of the AI and machine learning that we had, let's say machine learning, not AI, was the Launchbox app plugin for Grasshopper, which they launched in 2018, and it was incredibly powerful tool to calculate so many panels that you can have in your 3D modeling, 3D modeled geometry. The HiPAR is also another tool that enables you with prompting and also generating 3D models. Finch, Jesper has been working on it for so long, for 7-8 years, and the tool is now there. That it has adaptive characteristic, but they're implementing AI as well, where you can just prompt and get results out of it. LookX is a good tool that enables you to work not only in the visualization, but also for the documentation. And Wang Yehi is an architect who developed the tool, and it's quite powerful tool to use for documentation as well. I suggest you go check it out. Architecture is another software. AI generates floor plans. It's basic, I guess, but they have been doing so many progress recently. This video that I got is from last year, but they have advanced quite a lot. Make It as another AI platform that generates floor plans, Autodesk Forma, Crea, Sketch to AI, D5 Render with enhancers that they have made, Get Floor Plans, and which gives you render out of your sketch. Midjourney, clearly one of the best out there. DALL-E, which translated it to ChatGPT itself afterwards as well. Stable Diffusion, incredible, powerful tools with ComfUI, just gives you more control of your design. Incredibly powerful tools that you have to test it, you have to work with it. Kyber for video generations, Runway for video generations, and so many other tools that are out there. So what is the future of AI in architecture? With all these tools that are emerging, where are we headed actually? Toby Walsh has an analogy that says we won't be allowed to drive cars anymore, and we will not even notice and even care, because the insurance companies will start charging more for non-autonomous cars. So if without even realizing, you will be shifted towards using autonomous cars, and that way you will forget how to drive. And the same analogy is said by Neil Leach as well. We won't be allowed to design buildings anymore, and we will not even notice or even care. I'm not sure if I agree with this analogy, because architecture profession is quite tough profession, and I don't want to think like what will be the role of architects in the era of artificial intelligence with all these advanced tools that we have. Does this mean really the game is over and we have to go home and just give these tasks to AI to do? Are we headed in a really wrong direction? We developed AI to do our dishes and laundry so we can have more time to spend on literature, to spend on writing and art. But now AI is doing art for us, and we have to go do the dishes. We have to clean the floors. Are we really headed into a wrong direction? Will we be able to win races, competitions, battles, and get projects without even using advanced tools like AI? I doubt. It's going to be very, very hard to do so. Even with the advancements of AI, I think we, as humans, as civilization, we love to compete with each other. We love to cheer each other. Even we build cars that go faster than us. We just still compete with each other on marathons, on the Olympics, with tons of things that we do. What are the ethical considerations and challenges that we are facing? Ethical consideration like a job loss, copyright issues, algorithm bias, data and data security, data privacy, and tons of other things. Like losing jobs, like Asana has replaced their workforces by 37%, and this is now 2023. In 2025, this is horrible, I guess, and it affects architecture companies as well. This leads us to also the data privacy issue as well. Do you want to live in a city that all your actions, all your movements, all your decisions, everything that you do is monitored and fed into the AI systems to train themselves? I don't think I want to live in that city, and every movement that I make is recorded and processed and used against me to buy something or control my behavior. And even like a copyright and feedback loop, that it just generates the same things that you give AI that is existing in the internet, or creating the similar works without even realizing, or enabling to create the things that are not on the internet. If you want to draw a watch that shows 6:28 p.m., it's not going to draw that, because all the watches on the internet are showing 10 past 10. Can you draw a wine of full glass? No, you can't, because there's no image on the internet. So this can lead us into a wrong direction, as Elon Musk is also expressing this in Galileo test. Imagine that you have a Galileo, I couldn't play the video, sorry. Imagine that you have a AI system in the era of Galileo, which says the Earth is flat, and does AI believe that? I think in that era, AI has to believe that, because that's the available information. What if now we have this in our current time, and with the use of AI, we will miss the real point on some cases. The rights for minority groups will be underestimated. So this creates a chaos, actually. So these are the changes that we have to do in the architectural education, I think, to stay relevant with these advancements in AI. The challenges, first of all, let's point out the challenges that we have. We need to circularly update ourselves. We need to give access to these tools to so many people so they can use it as well, so we can have much more data. Preparing for unseen consequences, we have to train ourselves for the unseen consequences and unthinkables that could happen. Incorporating training is very crucial part of this these challenges that could reply to this, like of training and offering frequent courses, knowledge packages that people can upgrade their knowledges and stay relevant instead of losing their jobs. Ethics courses on very, very important issues that where people can learn about the data, learn about the ethics of using the tools, and collaboration and interdisciplinary works to collaborate with other disciplines to learn about how they are using and how they are building these tools as well. We don't want black boxes anymore. For the ethics part, I recommend to study these kind of books, which are very important in architecture. But also, I want to offer you to not to lose the sense of studying art and literature, because this is very important in our profession. I remember Stjepan was asked a question about the tools and what should we learn with these tools. I think the tool barrier can go away very soon. You don't need to learn coding anymore, probably, because it's going to be out there. You won't need that tool barrier. You won't have that tool barrier. But what you need to learn is studying the literature history, architecture history, the art history. Try to give beautiful buildings. I think beauty is an underestimated feature in architecture that we don't see it much these days. The architecture that we're designing, the architecture that we're creating, or the buildings that we're designing, they have to be beautiful. If the beauty is not there, something is going to miss. We have to give a good experience. These are the crucial things that our projects should deliver. If it's not delivering a good experience, you're not going to be building a successful building or a successful architecture. These are the things that separates a building with architecture or adds taste to it. As you will have those barriers gone, the tools barrier, the calculations barrier, these are the things you have to focus to deliver the best and the finest. Allocate your time to study these and deliver the best. You have to don't forget about the scale, the function, the balance of the form, the unity, the variety, the harmony, the materials, the proportions, context, culture. Yes, AI generates images. AI generates workflows. AI does so many things, but that's you to decide the beauty. That's you to decide the function of it, the scale of it, the proportions, materials, and human-centric design, climate change aspects. That's you have to decide about that. That being said, we built Parametric architecture platform out of the curiosity of studying these tools in architecture and their effects, the workflows that they are enabling you. We started on Instagram a page called Parametric Architecture with 0 followers. And then we achieved 1.5 million followers with today's number. And it turned to be a great hub to connect and share information. And we are the world's most avant-garde architecture platform about parametric design, computational tools, and AI. Our main focus is the emergence of technologies in the AEC and creative industries. And today our platform reaches over 20 million people every month on the internet, combined with social media. We interviewed architects about their works, their ideas in architecture and tools, the future of the platform. And we also created an academy called PA Academy, where we can invite so many, we have invited so many great instructors like Tim Fu, or like so many others with every weekend workshops. Like Tim Fu with teaching so many AI softwares, or like Albert teaching BIM and Rhino Inside. And these enabled the formation of the community that we have, and a community that is workflow-based, workflow-driven, and they are super interested into the ideas developed through these workflows and through these tools and technologies. I recommend a couple of books to study. If you're into parametric design, computational design, AI, please just screenshot this. If you're interested about the future of AI, Ray Kurzweil's books are incredible. Life 3.0 is an inspiring book by Max Tegmark and a great scientist of our time. Artificial Intelligence for Dummies is a very good book if you want to know more about AI. And also Robot-Proof Higher Education in the Age of Artificial Intelligence is an extremely important book that I recommend you guys to study. And that's it. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Hamid. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I
Thank
think
you.
this was a great lecture and overview of what was the path that got us here and what's happening now with these new tools. So thank you so much for your
You're
lecture.
welcome.
And
You're welcome.
so now we can open up the floor to questions. So please go ahead and ask questions. Or maybe, okay, if we, okay, Federica, you can go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much for this lesson. And I was very much curious because I asked the previous guest what he thought could be the strategy to teach the new students today to deal with this and navigate this world with all of these tools. And he said you would have had a very different answer compared to his. So I was curious to know what do you think, even if it's, I mean, I think it's related very much to your lesson, but I can't hear.
I mean,
Yes, now yes.
I can't.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry. Yeah, the part that in my lecture also where I mentioned about the beauty, function, materials, experience, I think it's very important to understand where we are located now and on which era we are living. That tool barrier is somehow going away, that we won't be able to use, for example, these kind of tools to calculate, to do so many, to integrate so many parameters to get a better result. As those kind of barriers going away, I think it's, for us as an architect, is very important to learn what is actually architecture. What is a good building? What is a good experience in architecture? These are the things that needs to be taught in schools and prepared architects for. There might be a day that we won't need any building information modeling knowledge because it's already out there. It's already just popping up with a bunch of prompts that we can write. So in that day, there will be a day, in that day, we have to deliver a good experience for architecture, a good, beautiful building, a good environment for our planet. So that day is probably a bit far, a bit not on the horizon, but we will get there where those tool barrier will go away. And in order to stay relevant as architects, we have to stick into the very basics of our profession. How architecture emerged, and why it's emerged, and what are its goals, and where are we headed to. If we can tackle with these issues, we can definitely stay relevant and push our profession ahead. So in today's architecture world, I think it's very important to train students on history, on literature, on art, on creating good experience. The tools will be there to be,
they will get easier to use as well. So focusing just on tools will not solve our problems.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, and it was not that different than what Stjepan said earlier. So thank you very much for your answer.
Yeah.
Okay, Alp, you can go ahead.
Hi. First of all, thank you, or shukran, probably you're from Iran, I guess. I can understand.
Yes, thank you.
I was just wondering if you ever tested to use like new AI plugins to make your own scripts for parametric design in Grasshopper. I'm sure maybe you heard there is this guy in the online, he writes a script for Grasshopper. It just becomes the Grasshopper scripts. I was wondering if you tried this.
No, I'm not. The last time I worked with Grasshopper was 2019 because I had to decide whether I have to go with delivering content for the community or working as an architect. So 2019-20 was the last time I worked with Grasshopper. There was even no Rhino AI tools out there. So me as a person, I'm not designing or I'm not working as an architect anymore. And my whole goal is to study the future of our profession and deliver the best content as we can. And the Academy that we have created also is in the same goal, because we invite so many other people to come and teach in the platform and share knowledge that they have. So I'm not teaching in my own academy because I don't see me teaching. There's no point for it because I'm not practicing architect. So to answer your question, I didn't test it out, but definitely there are these kind of tools that where you just enter a bunch of things. It just creates a script for you, and you can just build a plugin. That easy.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks. Okay, maybe I can ask a question, and then we can see if there is any other questions from the students. So I was wondering, since you have many courses on your platform, how do you balance the enthusiasm for the technological progress and the use of these new tools and their limitations? How does this happen within your courses and within the community you're connected to?
Yeah, so we monitor many offices, we follow many architects, and we continuously talk with them on the problems that they have, on the challenges that they have, and also the way they do things differently in their projects. So this gives us so many insights into what kind of tools are being used in the offices, what kind of interests are towards the using new kind of workflows, new kind of softwares, and solving the issues. And we point out the courses based on those kind of analysis. And also, when there's a new tool out there, we definitely want to test with it. We invite people to come and teach, and then students join, and they create great work with them as well. Marta and Valentina, you were a part of one of the courses in our platform as well back in 2021, I guess, which created incredible results by the students. And we created that space so people from different locations can experience this. So my answer to that question is I personally, I discuss with many people, I talk with many people, and based on their ideas, we also set up these courses that are really on high demand in the architecture or AEC industry.
Thank you for your answer. Okay, so does anyone else want to ask a question? Okay, so maybe one last thing that's important to this course is the concept of the archive. the archive that the AI tools allow to access. So it's not just a matter of creating new things, of creating new images, new content, but it's also a matter of accessing the archive of existing projects in a different way. So I wanted to ask you what you think about that, and I wanted also to say that you're also contributing to implementing this archive with your platform, with your courses. So what do you think about that, and how do you see this thing going forward and in the future?
Yeah. That's one of the problems in architecture as well, because creating an AI tool that does all the work for architects is not quite possible, because every office has their own data sets and their archives, and they're not sharing this with anyone until there is a joint force or an agreement kind of things that large companies can join forces with under circumstances and create a great archive for and create data sets for the usage of a tool. That small companies don't have it because they have less projects, but large companies can do this. But accessing that archive is quite a tough challenge for platforms. It's not like an AI generated. It's not like an image that they can access it through Google or through by calling it from LinkedIn or Pinterest. It's not like that, but those archives are not easy to access and are not easy to process as well. Every office has their own style, their own numbering, their own process of doing things. But if these could be translated into images and into drawings and put it out there, I think there could be a good sign, because the clearness and the exactness in AI generated in AI platforms to generate better results would definitely increase. So I'm not sure how we can achieve that, and I'm not sure if that's a possible thing to share the archive of the offices. But if we could have something like that, definitely it would help AI tools to achieve more exact results, probably even into the drawings. It would help us a lot. I see now ChatGPT is also generating drawings based on the images that you feed into it. But if we could have platforms like that, you give the entire 3D model and it just gives you you give entire images and then it gives you a 3D model and then it gives you documentation. Voila, that would be really, really, really good for architects.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so if there's no other questions, maybe we can conclude with our last question, like for Stjepan. So what's next for parametric architecture and also for the academy? What are the plans for the future?
Yeah.
If you can share.
Yeah, definitely. So we see in a need for upskilling the current architecture community, and the architects who have been working in the industry for 30 years, 40 years, they are employees in companies. They definitely need upgrades to new tools. Our mission as a platform is to teach these skills and integrate them into companies and universities. What we are offering now to companies, at least we have onboarded 15 companies in 2 months, is offering the courses to them, so they can use our archive of the courses to train their employees and staff with the new tools. Like Grasshopper is a new tool for some companies, actually. If you could if you may not have the information. But yes, Grasshopper is a new tool for some companies. That's unbelievable. But for some companies, AI is a new tool. So we're building this archive of courses where companies can invite their staff, and universities can join, can integrate their students. So that burden of teaching software or teaching AI tool is going away from offices and from universities, and you can focus on teaching literature. You can focus on teaching architecture history rather than just teaching Grasshopper inside the university. So that's our main mission, our main vision for the next couple of years, where we can integrate the courses into universities and institutions. And yeah, we look forward for having more instructors like Marta again in the platform. And yeah, that's our vision.
That's great. That's a great mission, and good luck with all of that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Marta, and thanks for the invitation. It was a nice conversation, and yeah, appreciate it.
I appreciate that too, and thank you so much for the lecture. I hope to see you soon, and if you're ever in Italy again, please feel free to come and visit us.
Of course. Appreciate it. Thank you. Ciao.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.